There are three super important elements of harpsichord technique, three elements that will make the biggest difference in your playing, and all of them have to do with how you depress and release the keys. So how do you get the best sound out of a harpsichord? And how do you get smooth transitions when you change chords or across leaps, when you don't have a sustain pedal like you do on a piano? Okay, let's find out. The first important element of harpsichord playing is to make sure that you use gravity to depress the keys and not finger motion. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in learning more about the harpsichord in general, please subscribe to my channel where I put out new videos every Tuesday. So, how you use gravity to depress the keys is by playing what's called on the string, where you literally rest your fingers on the keys before you play them, depressing them ever so slightly until you feel through the key where the plectrum touches the string, where it's literally on the string. Then to play the notes, you don't have to move your fingers up and down at all. You simply shift the weight in your hand from one finger to the other by slightly turning your wrist and letting gravity do the rest. Notice how my fingers aren't moving up or down at all. They're just relaxing as the weight comes to them, and then gravity does the rest. This will also naturally cause you to have some bleed over between the sound of one note and the next. But this is actually a good thing on the harpsichord and is what we call overholding, which increases the richness and sustain of the sound and helps to diminish the importance of notes on weak parts of the beat or measure. It will take some practice to determine how much and how fast you need to shift your weight to make the notes sound, and every harpsichord is different. But if you focus on total body relaxation, especially checking in with your shoulders, your wrists, and your elbows, then the notes will sound if you just shift your weight and let gravity do the work, and you don't need to use finger motion. Relaxation is the key to making this happen, however, which brings us to our second important element of harpsichord technique, which is relaxed arms and free elbows. In my experience, the biggest culprit that causes problems in your sound when playing the harpsichord is arm tension, particularly holding your elbows in a stuck position, either outwards or into the body. While you're playing, your arms should always be so relaxed and your elbows so free that if someone came up behind you and did this, your arm would move easily and would swing from the shoulder freely. This includes when you're shifting from one chord to another. Or when you're executing leaps. Both of which are two of the most difficult times to keep your elbows free. Having free elbows and relaxed arms does two things for your sound. It allows for the full bloom of the note when you're releasing your weight into a key, instead of but it also enables you to move smoothly between chords or across leaps, i.e. whenever the fingers have to leave the keys and move to a new position. And it keeps the gaps between the notes from becoming awkwardly large. Instead of if you hear that the spaces between chords or notes in your playing sound unnaturally or unmusically large, it's likely because you're holding your elbows. Here's what that might sound like if you were tense in the elbow. Whereas here's the same passage if you stay relaxed. relaxed arms and free elbows allow for the sound to bloom on the harpsichord and for transitions to be smooth, because they enable optimal release from the keys, which brings us to our third important part of harpsichord technique, which is using a closed hand position and releasing the keys by curling the fingers slightly into the palm of the hand. So we've talked about how to use gravity to play the keys, and we've talked about how to stay relaxed to get the best sound, but we haven't actually talked about how to release the keys. On a harpsichord, if you just pick up your finger after you've played a key, the jack and the plectrum that pluck the string just shoot back downward and the sound stops abruptly. So, in order to get a sound that ends less abruptly, you have to release the key in a way that allows the plectrum to slip gently past the string on the way back down. Instead of you do this by ever so slightly curling your finger in towards your palm to release a key, making sure that you stay relaxed during this process. The speed with which you need to move to the next key will determine how much or how little you need to make this motion, with faster passages requiring very minute motions. See how the motion is very small? It's still happening, but it's very small, probably moving about that much on the keys. Because I have to move to the next note quickly. But the gesture stays the same unless you specifically want an abrupt end to the sound, such as if the affect is angry or forceful. For example, I might want a sharp end to the sound in that case. This gentle type of release motion also works the best when the hand is in a closed or close position, such as this, rather than a stretched out or open position, which naturally contains more tension. A closed position is the standard hand position for harpsichord playing, which is why some standard harpsichord fingerings, which shift around the keyboard a lot to keep that closed position as much as possible, may seem odd if you're coming from a piano background. And if you want to learn more about harpsichord fingerings, I have a whole video all about that, so you can check that out. The last part of how to best release keys on the harpsichord takes us back to the elbow and to arm relaxation. To best release the keys on a harpsichord, you need to feel a downward, totally relaxed pull in your elbow, and that combined with the gentle, slightly curled in motion of your fingers propels you to the next notes. The release itself is what propels you to the next hand position. Watch that again. And there's no picking up and moving the hand involved, or the release will cause too abrupt an end to the sound. So here's what that would sound like if I picked up my hand instead of using the release to propel me to the next notes. Here's if I use a soft elbow and I use the release to propel me. Or in the left hand. With the elbow always relaxed. You can also think of it as releasing downwards, leading with the elbow, and then the curl of the fingers is what moves you to the next notes. I'm thinking downward before this leap, downward to move. The downward is really just true relaxation. This will take much practice to perfect, and the best way to practice it is to stop on the chord before the shift, then check in and make sure your elbow is totally free, and while you're still swinging your arm, Swing yourself gently as you do the slight curling in motion to the next chord. Here it is again. And still moving my elbow. This is for practice through the whole motion. One more time. So my elbow never stops moving. This is just for practice, not in real playing, but that's how to make sure that you're free throughout the entire shifting motion. This is all to be done out of time, focusing simply on the relaxation needed before and during the release, and also making sure not to prepare when where you're going with your hand. So not to do this before you move, or not to hold any of your fingers, such as your thumb, which often ends up in a stuck out position. You have to watch out for that. Or holding your pinky up, which is another common place for tension to be in the hand. Here's the way again that you should do it, making sure to really swing your elbow the entire time. Once again, just for practice, not in real playing, but just to make sure that you stay relaxed throughout the entire movement. Keep swinging, keep swinging. Make sure you're swinging the whole time. Here it is one more time. And you're hanging out on this note, making sure that you're relaxed before you move on. Good. Okay, those are all three of what I think are the most important elements of harpsichord technique. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that little notification bell so you get notified every time I put out a new video. And please give this video a like if you found it useful or helpful, and leave me a comment below with any questions you may have. Thank you so much for watching.